this video, I am going to show you how to set up a search in Matrix. So after we have met and discussed your purchase criteria, I will send you a search based on that criteria. I'll title it Property That Meets Your Criteria, and then you'll get this welcome email. Matrix is also referred to as the portal. So you will get this welcome email, and it'll give you a link to to look at all the property listings that meet your criteria. You will also get automated emails every time a new property hits the market. So you'll get this intro email, and then you'll get a new email when property hits the market. So click on that. We'll view the portal. And now this is the search that I would have set up for you. And in this case, I set up a search for property in League City under $300,000. So it shows me here there are 65 total listings that meet that criteria. And then it gives me a map overview of all that property. So, and then on the right, it gives me here every single listing. So what's cool is I can actually start looking through the pictures of each listing just from here. You can also expand and make them bigger, or you can even go to a whole separate page and see all of them. So cool feature. You can change the view. If I want to go by price, this will show me lowest to highest, and this here will show me highest to lowest. If you don't want to see the map, you can see this. It'll give you a little bit more information. That's the list view, or the gallery view will show you a lot more properties. And there's a whole bunch of other views you can look at if you'd like. But I'd say stick with this view. It's nice. It kind of shows you exactly where it is on the map, and then it gives you the overview on the side with the pictures. So let's say you want to start your own search. Say, after looking through these, you're like, yeah, I want to get a little bit more specific. So that's where we click the Start a New Search. And here, this is the list of criteria that you can select in order to set up an additional search. So we'll start with single family, click Active. Now you could look at option pending, pending continue to show, or pending. It gives you that option to do that. I recommend you stick with active, mainly because if it's any of these three statuses, that means it's under contract. And if it were to become available again, it will go back to active anyway, and it'll show up in your search. So let's say, again, we're approved for, let's say, 305. We want at least 4 bedrooms. We want at least 2,000 square feet. And let's say we're open to other cities, but we want to be in Clear Creek ISD. So you can see there's a few different location settings. As specific as street name, you could do that if you want. Most people are going to look at city, zip code, county, school district, and sometimes subdivision. If there's a specific subdivision you're wanting to get into, MLS number, that's just a listing number. You're not going to search by that. Geo market area, you can, like, for example, it's got different, you start, so Clear Lake area, or it's just a different way of searching. So League City, you can see there. So okay, and then lastly, the amenities, it shows our private pool, no private pool, or area pool. And let's say for our purposes, we're open to all of the above. So we click apply. Now the first thing you want to do once you create that search is to save the search. That way, if you happen to click away, you won't lose it. And you can, always update the search, create new searches. So it's okay to, create multiple searches. No big deal. So we'll call it search 1. So now I can see it is showing me property also in Clear Lake and Friendswood, not just League City, Seabrook, because I changed, or when I created the new search, I put in Clear Creek ISD, not just League City. So 65 total. You start to look through. Again, we could go, let's go from price. Let's start at the top and go down. So as you can see, I had already clicked on some of these here. So the options, you can choose it as a favorite. Here, let's actually move down to some of these. So let's say, yeah, I like this one. I'm going to save it as a favorite. Or this one, if it has the gray heart, that means you haven't done anything with it yet. So let's say, yeah, this looks like a possibility. Or you might see one and say, yeah, I'm going to discard this. Now, when you see the overall search, it's going to show you everything. If you want to look at just your favorites, you can click over here. You see I'd kind of already favorited some. So it shows you a couple of them, and then these are not favorites, but they're possibilities. You're open to them. But the ones in discarded, you're like, no, I'm just not interested in those. So, and you can always go back and change it. So let's say, yeah, you know, this one could be a possibility. You can do that. Or if we see this and say, you know, I actually really like this one. Let's move it to a favorite. So that's how you, do that. You can go back to your search. So let's go back to the search we created. And let's say you have set up that criteria, but you also want to limit it. Let's say you want to be on the west side of 45. Now you can draw. Look at this. Whee. Oop. And then you can kind of play with this tool to go all the way out to the area you want to go, or you can say, nah, I didn't mean to do that. Let me delete that shape. But just keep in mind, when you draw, let's say here, let's go, just this little section right here is the only place I'm going to look. In order for the search to save like that, you do have to go up and save it as a search, and we'll just, sure, mine's my search number 2. Because it got even more specific. Now we have 18 houses within here. So that's just basically, that is how you set up a search in Matrix. Those are some of the tools, like drawing a specific area or selecting a specific criteria. And if you go back to the search that you created, you can click on the filters and you can change this again. So let's say, yeah, we do actually want a private pool. Now you apply it, and that'll update your search. But again, to save it, you need to save it as a new search. So now I've got 3 searches going, but that's okay. You can have as many as you want. You say, yeah, I didn't really like search 2, I'll delete it, and you're welcome to do that. And then in the search category, it'll also show the searches that I set up for you as the agent. So you want to go back to this. There you go. One thing to keep in mind, if you have very specific criteria, you'll notice in here, like I mentioned earlier, like for example, let's say you really want a fireplace. Now I don't always recommend that you put that in your criteria. I can do it on my end. You can't do it on your end, unfortunately. But I don't necessarily recommend that, just because if a listing happens to get entered incorrectly and a house does have a fireplace but it's not showing in the listing, then it might just not show up. So my recommendation is to not get too specific. That way you can just look at everything. And the nice thing again with this view is you can start, clicking through and seeing, like, look, okay, yeah, this one has a fireplace, for example. So that's my recommendation, but this is how you set up a search in Matrix and how you start saving property. Then once you have a list of property that you like, you let me know and we will start looking at it. So there you go. Happy searching.